Hello friends, welcome back to another video. So friends, in this video, we are going to see what is the meaning of artificial general intelligence. So we are all aware about the concept known as artificial intelligence. So in this video, we will try to explore what is the meaning of artificial general intelligence. So friend, now we will see what is the meaning of artificial general intelligence. Basically, it is a theoretical form of AI which is capable of understanding, learning, and applying that knowledge across any intellectual task at a human level without task-specific training. Basically, we also in our day-to-day life do many tasks without any specific training, right? Based on our intellectual understanding or based on generic understanding of the world, we do this task. Let's say if you want to pick up something from the ground, or let's say if you want to read a book, okay, so and make a sense out of it, right? So it is like uh, whatever basic understanding we have that we can utilize in our activity. So it's kind of a generic intellectual that doesn't need any specific training, right? So basically, let's say if you want to talk to any unknown person or the person which you are meeting for the first time, so it is not like we need any specific training to talk with that separate person, though that person is totally new. Still, we will be able to talk with that person using our some basic level of understanding, right? That's what is called as the generic intellectual. So this AGI is basically in name itself it suggests like it's a general intelligence. So basically, it is a general intelligence which can allow machines to perform the specific task without any task specific training. So let's say if there is any mathematical model which just does the mathematical calculations, or if there's any model which just does the writing, right? Or if some model is doing image generation, right? So currently it is a very model specific. But if the model becomes AGI specific, then the generic tasks it will be able to do without any kind of a specific training, right? So that's the one of the additional level uh, which AGI deals with. Basically, AI deals with any specific training, but AGI deals with the generic level of intelligence. So basically, it is a hypothetical stage in the development of machine learning. So in which AI system can match or exceed the cognitive abilities of human being across any task, right? So it represents the fundamental and abstract goal of AI, that basically replication of human intelligence in the machine or software. So let's say now if I want to see what is the cognitive abilities of human, right? So if we talk about the cognitive abilities of human, then basically what it means is the any kind of mental process that will allow human to carry out any task from the simplest to the most complex, right? So basically, cognitive ability is the brain-based skills that we need to carry out, like everything from learning a new language to remembering where we park the car or something, right? Like, uh, like unlike any physical ability, cognitive abilities are often interconnected, and it just forms the kind of a network function, right? So many times we can provide the specific attention. Like if we're reading, we can forget about other things and we can concentrate on the reading, right? So that's also kind of means as a cognitive ability. So like AGI, that is artificial general intelligence, that is also has been actively explored since the earliest days of the AI research. So still there is no conscious consensus without the academic community regarding exactly what would qualify as AGI or how to best achieve it. Right? Though the broad goal of human-like intelligence is fairly straightforward, the details are nuanced and are subjective. So basically, the pursuit of AGI therefore comprises of the development of both framework to understand intelligence in machine and models to satisfy the framework. So here the challenges are both philosophical and technological. So philosophy is a formal definition of AGI that requires kind of a formal intelligence and general agreement on how that intelligence could be manifested in AI, right? So basically, we have seen it in a lot of movies, right? So machines are there and they are almost like behaving like human being, right? They are able to do our day-to-day tasks and everything, right? So again, that there is a philosophical challenge, and technologically, AGI requires the uh, creation of models at an unprecedented level of sophistication and versatility. Also, it needs metrics and tests to reliably verify the model's cognition and the computing power necessary to sustain it, right? So, as we know, the human brain has been developed over millions of years, right? And based on the evolution and everything, we are able to do all the tasks which we are able to, which are currently doing, right? And the energy efficiency and everything has been achieved over the time. But in case of machines, still, it is largely powered with the batteries, right? So as we see currently, even whatever AI models which are using on the mobiles, computers, laptops, or machines, right? That needs huge data. But when we compare that to the average human can generate its own energy, right? Like whatever is needed for his work. Only thing is that it needs food as a kind of a input, right? And the digestive system and everything has been developed over the years, but then that is sufficient for a human to work at a certain level. So it's not like it's astronomical or it's a very high level of the intelligence or very high level of tasks which are done, but every human being or every is a self-sufficient thing, right? In most of the cases, right? So still there is a very huge technological challenge. Even if you want to switch on our simple mobile, then also there is a crunch of energy which we face multiple times, right? So and that is one of the biggest challenge which is there in the AGI. So friends, now we will see what is narrow AI and general AI. So when we take the notion of the general intelligence or general AI, it can be best understood in the contrast to narrow AI. So whatever models which we are currently mostly using, right, like whatever AI tools or something which are using, if you would have noticed, those are doing specific tasks. So there are separate text generation models, there are separate mathematical models, right? There are separate models for the image generation, like that. There are separate models for uh, video generation, like that, right? So those are specifically to the certain task designed in a specific way, right? So the narrow AI basically effectively describes nearly all current AI whose intelligence is demonstrated in a specific domain or specialized domain, right? So many times we have seen that there is an image generation model. So that model is basically best only for the generation of the image, correct? If there is any prediction model, that is basically best for the text prediction and everything, right? So that's a specialized domain. So in 1956, there was some research performed in the project of the artificial intelligence, right? So, that time the term artificial intelligence was coined, and it is kind of considered as the origin of the term artificial intelligence, right? So, it is described in the proposal as the study to proceed based on the conjuncture at that every aspect of learning or any other feature of intelligence can be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it, right? So basically, let's say if we are solving a, so basically this gives kind of a baseline of like what the majority of AI models are, which are narrow AI, which are considered, right? So basically, any task which we are doing, if we are putting it in a so detailed manner, so stepwise manner, so that we can design it in a way so precisely that even machine can do it, right? That we have seen in a kind of a robotic machineries and everything, right? So there are certain defined steps which are used for manufacturing, right? So if a machine can be designed to kind of follow those exact steps, then basically that can be used by a machine so that machine can simulate that exact outcome, and that's how the AI was uh, described. So basically, the roadmap of AI was to develop a machines that can think for themselves. Uh, but in the further checks and everything, the human-like intelligence was considered as the elusive, and it was considered as difficult, right? And the biggest big progress was made in the pursuit of computing machines that can perform the specific task. So rather than creating a machine or creating a robot who can do all the tasks as good as human, or like a human does it, rather than that, the modules were generated or modules were created which are specialized in a specific task, right? Uh, which requires a specific intelligence in human. So let's say a certain image needs to be drawn, right? Or chess playing, or healthcare diagnosis, or any kind of a forecasting or automobile driving, right? So not every human can be can be can do those tasks, but what is needed is a human need a specialized training. So suppose somebody needs to do a car driving, right? Somebody needs to play a chess, right, in a proper way. Then basically what is needed is the training is needed to be provided, right? So in such areas the progress was made, right? So that was kind of a narrow AI, what it deals with, right? So in contrast to the narrow AI, the general AI is described as a type of a new AI with, among other qualities, the ability to solve general problems in a non-domain restricted way, in the same sense that a human can solve it, right? So let's say a, s- so a human can work in multiple areas, right? Human can solve math, it can learn language, it can read books, it can drive, it can solve a lot of other problems, right? So it is not restricted by in a domain for a basic level of task, right? So a general or AGI or or the generic intelligence is basically that thing, a machine which can do most of the tasks without any prior training. You just create a machine, you give it a learning ability which is not specific to the domain. You can tell it to do the drawing also, you can tell it to drive also, right? So it's kind of a going nearer to the human kind of a behavior, and it is not restricted by the domain. So that's what we meant as a AGI. So friends, now we will see some of the additional details of artificial intelligence, that is AGI. So basically, artificial general intelligence is a distinct from the broader category of AI. So whatever AI which we are currently using, the AGI is different than that. So basically, the existing AIs, uh, whatever computational systems these existing AIs are having, those are basically computational systems designed to perform specific tasks that actually require the human intelligence, right? It's kind of a example is like a speech recognition, image classification, translation, or any kind of a recommendations, right? So, so whatever AI which we are currently using, so most of those AIs are basically specialized in a certain way, right? So we can say almost all the AIs are built with machine learning currently, and these excel through the specialization and pattern recognition rather than a general reasoning. So if we consider the image generation models today, right, or if we consider the text recognition or any kind of a high level language models and everything, so those work in a specialized area, right? So video creation models and everything, those work in a specialized area. If we consider artificial general intelligence, that is different than the existing AI because it implies general purpose intelligence. So, AGI system would be able to understand the tasks in context, just like humans. So basically, it will be able to understand the task and its context also. It will be able to transfer the knowledge between domains, apply reasoning to situations it has never faced before, right? So basically, it will be able to understand the context also. So, for example, if certain task is being asked to be performed, It will not do it blindly. It will be able to understand like in which situation this is happening, right? What is the situation in which this is being asked, correct? So that's where the AGI becomes very, very important because just if it just becomes kind of a machine which is not able to understand the context of the situation, then it becomes very dangerous, right? If certain person is asking certain suggestion or if it is expressing certain views, right? Uh, then the context in which that information is being asked, that is also very important, right? If the certain information or certain suggestions are not useful for the person, right? Or if it is not, you know, uh, it could lead to the dangerous situations. So context understanding is also very important. And here at AGI will be different than the generic AI, basically, which might be kind of a, might lead to the problematic scenarios, right? So basically, this makes the artificial general intelligence qualitatively different from current AI. So current AI achieves strong performance for specialization and large-scale data processing rather than integrated human level cognitive abilities, right? Because a human, if certain task is assigned to human or if certain request is done to the human, then basically human will be able to understand the context, and based on that human can take a decision, right? But if the AI is not having that ability, then AI will not be able to understand the good and bad scenarios, right? That's the scenario. You can see multiple situations if you compare to the real life, right? So basically, let's say somebody asks for certain medication or certain uh, dangerous medication to AI, then if AI directly suggests it, then it becomes difficult, right? It could be very dangerous also. So in this way, the AGI will be very useful. And AGI basically uh, it will be kind of a more uh, nearby to the human level consciousness, right? So that's how that's what is required. So now if we see, then so there are some typical characteristics which are associated with several AGI systems core attributes. So those now we can see. So basically human-like intelligence. So one of the very important characteristic is a human-like intelligence, right? So the ability to reason abstractly, understand the meaning and operate effectively in open-ended environments. This human-like intelligence will enable the systems to adapt changing circumstances, demonstrate flexible cognition similar to human beings. So here AGI will be very useful. Then the cognitive abilities, like we previously discussed, humans' cognitive decisions are far superior than currently what AI is trying to achieve. So basically, so the capacity of fluidly between the tasks, such as learning a new language, solving complex problems, or interpreting a social cues without redesign or restraining for each domain, right? So these cognitive capabilities mirror the versatile intelligence exhibited by humans in diverse situations, and that is what makes the AGI a very important and very advanced human-like system. Also, the autonomous learning, so the ability to acquire new skills and acknowledge through the experience, right? Rather than relying on the specific learning criteria and everything, or rather than kind of a solely based on the label data or human-defined training processes. So if it is able to learn by itself, then it will be able to acquire things more fast and in a very refined way. Again, this is one of the characteristics which is considered for the AGI. So whatever we saw is like if we consider AGI, it will be more like a cognitive, and it can basically it's a self-sufficient system. That's what is the kind of a tried thing as part of this AGI uh, system, and this is how this differs than uh, the traditional AI system. So traditional AIs are most sophisticated in the specialized tasks like drawing or the text recognition, speech recognition, uh, uh, so which is done by the narrow AI, but the artificial general intelligence, that is AGI, is can be considered the holy grail of the of computer science, right? So it's kind of a represents a theoretical leap towards a machine that can reason across any domain. So any expertise domain which can be considered, that can be considered in the AI. So basically, it can have the things like cross-domain learning, right? It can have the kind of a basic common sense, understanding the unwritten rules, right? We are not mentioned in the system. Then self-correction, if it faces any error, if it has, if it will be able to understand that it has made a mistake, and it will be able to make its own decision, right? So again, these are the things. Yes, friend. So that's what is the kind of a video related to AGI. So this is kind of a next step of whatever specialized AI or narrow AI which we are having currently, right? So I'll explore some more videos in this topic also, where you can compare the existing AI and the AGI, and we can have some further topics also explored. So if you like my video, kindly share and subscribe for such more technical videos. I'll be preparing more videos now in a consistent way. So kindly subscribe to my channel. Thanks all. Thank you. Take care.